Wizards Postgame Live.
Friday night, taking on the Atlanta Hawks for the second time in the same week. Wizards trying to take the season series a tip in their favor. Bradley Beal tonight, 27 points. The Unicorn with 22 himself, and Kyle Kuzma with 17, albeit, unfortunately, in a loss. Final score 114 to 107. The Wizards fall to Atlanta, getting ready to take on the Philadelphia 76ers on Sunday at 6 o'clock. But before we get to that, we've got an entire post-game show with a lot of jam-packed information. Chris, Drew, and Megan joining us in a moment. Coach Patsos, the floor is yours. My simple question is this. When there was a window, the Wizards weren't able to step through it to get into victory lane.
A couple little things, you know, the defensive assignment where they missed Trae Young. They were trying to ice the ball screen and make him go left. Got to step up. He hits a dagger three, points to the crowd. We come back. Kuz had two great looks, and Monte Morris had a great look. So you got to remember to stay positive. Like, we had three really good looks. Okay, we missed a free throw, offensive. Just the tiny little things. Got to come back, go get the win at Philly. You've already beaten Philly this year. But that was a playoff-type game, and Drew said it. And they're going to come down to little execution things. The press worked well. Bradley got the ball, knocked off DeAndre Hunter to be our ball. Like, a lot of little things were accomplished there, but sometimes you just got to put the ball in the basket. Like, you're going to have to make every free throw. But Trae Young, that was a tough shot he hit, Wes.
Yeah.
But he made it, you know. And then we had a couple open threes that didn't go. And at the end of the day, we outscored him in the paint. I thought Gafford was really ready to go. We played well early. We had the 10-2 run to bring it back to a ball game in the fourth. It's just so frustrating that there's a lot of losses this year that are one or two little possessions away. That wasn't a 7-point game. No. That was a 2-point game. Bradley Beal had a layup to cut it to 1. It just doesn't go in. Couple little things. You can't get too discouraged. We're that close. Keep fighting. But all those little things, we got to start to tighten them up because it's really getting down to crunch time.
Coach, I'm looking at the box score tonight, and you mentioned the points in the paint. Wizards win that 60-32. But I'm looking at the three-point shooting. You said it's a close game, and that is actually correct. But when I see the fact that Atlanta had knocked down 15 of their 31 threes, the Wizards had 7 for 27. You have to improve in three-point shooting in a league that is pretty much putting their finger on the scale saying, shoot it. The analytics tell you, shoot it. You've got to be able to make those, especially against teams when you're looking at 8 and 9 and 10 in the seeding, where your whole postseason life lives between every shot.
If I'm Corey Kispert, I'd start to look and say, I got to be like Bogdanovich. In other words, Corey Kispert's playing well. Right. Bogdanovich is older than him, but he was the difference this week. This week, to me, Wes, you put the numbers out there, Bogdanovich was the difference.
Yeah.
He came and gave him 15 and 17 off the bench. Their bench points were a little better than ours, but don't get discouraged. Just learn. If that's our next competitor, we're that close to him.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
I mean, I'm just saying about Toronto was a 2-point game either way. We won one, we lost one. The Heat, we went down there and it was last possession games. These are little things. Just get a little bit. Monte Morris looked good coming back. I liked Gafford getting the ball a lot. And the big three, Kuz wasn't himself early, but he's logging a lot of minutes. He plays really hard, and it's the end of the year. But there's no excuses. There's no more. They're going to say it in this press conference. There's no moral victories.
Yeah.
You just got to get the next one. Then you get Detroit coming in. But it would have been nice to get these 2 wins. We lost by a little, but the learning part has to continue, and we got to keep fighting while there's 15 games left.
Indeed. Coach, you talk about Daniel Gafford, 13 points tonight, 8 boards. I want to bring in Chris and Drew and get their thoughts on it tonight. Guys, I know we were coming into the night. We talked about turnovers. Wizards had 15. Atlanta had 14, so I'll call that a push. But otherwise, Drew, what do you make of the big three? Which one of those three stood out to you tonight in their performance?
I think all three of them did. I mean, Kyle Kuzma didn't get the shots he usually gets, but, I mean, he was pretty efficient tonight. 7 for 12. Didn't really get to the foul line, 17 points. I mean, that's when you know you're having a great season, when you expect so much more than a solid performance. I mean, prior to Kyle Kuzma coming to the Wizards, you say, hey, yo, if he's averaging 17 points, taking around 12 shots, that's highly efficient. You could live with that, but that's not the case. If Kyle Kuzma has 17 points, he was shut down in my eyes. I mean, this is a guy that's capable of exploding for 30, 40 points any given night. And from going from 92 points combining for the big three to 66 tonight, that's almost a 30-point drop-off. So you need a scoring from other areas, and they didn't get that. Denny Aldi only 5. Corey Kispert only 7 points. DeLon, thank God, he had 10. But other than that, he was the only guy off the bench in double figures. So you needed somebody else to step up offensively. But to go back to all of this, playoff-type atmosphere, making adjustments. I said it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. And that's what it did once again tonight. These numbers are battle tested. The reason why all these teams are bunched up in the play-in in 9, 10, 11, and 12 is because night in, night out, they're presenting these same ball games, whether against another opponent or against each other. Toronto, Atlanta, Jim, you said it. These games have been close for a reason. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't.
Yeah, as I illustrated during the game, guys, I don't think Chicago and Indiana are going anywhere. In fact, I got this sneaky hunch that it's going to come down to the last game of the year, in my opinion. And if the Wizards, Bulls, and Pacers are all tied, the tiebreaker after your record is conference. So the Bulls and the Pacers actually have a better conference record than Washington. So it really kind of speaks to the value of how important Sunday's game is against Philadelphia. You got to start getting some conference wins, not only just in the division, as you said, to try to get yourself into the play-in or in the playoffs. But the difference for me tonight, guys, I think, listen, it's a back-and-forth affair. But the Hawks had 13 offensive rebounds and scored 15 second-chance points off of them.
Chris, that's a valuable number right there.
Those are those little plays we're talking about. They just sometimes seem to not be going our way, Drew.
Yeah, the 50-50 balls. Daniel Gafford, I mean, thank God for his energy in that first half. Second chance opportunities kind of kept the Wizards in striking distance. But, I mean, this is a grind-out, playoff type game tonight. We said it. You just saw this team a couple days ago. The roster's not changed. Guys are getting comfortable in their own skin, whether it's a home or away game. I mean, eventually these guys are professional athletes. They're going to get comfortable and start to settle in. I don't think the Wizards ever made the Atlanta Hawks comfortable throughout these two-game series. Biggest lead was 15 points. Atlanta took that lead and won the game ultimately. And in the night, Wizards had a 7-point lead, but there's no looking back because Atlanta went up to double digits and it was a wrap.
Chris, when I look at this team, I know you talk about Philadelphia on Sunday, a team that tonight barely won by 1 against Portland. So definitely they're going to be trying to be encouraged about trying to continue their postseason aspirations. But before I let you go real quick, I'm curious about how you maintain bench productivity for this team. 22 points off the bench tonight, 37 for Atlanta. We've got to get more out of these young guys, and I'll ask that before I let you guys go, Chris.
Yeah, I agree, but it's you know, I heard Kyle Kuzma say something after Wednesday's game that kind of stuck with me. We talked about the 92 points that he, Porzingis, and Beal scored, and he's like, that's all great, but we've got to defend and we've got to get others better shots and make them better. And that really kind of stuck with me when I heard it, because it just does, it makes a lot of sense, because I don't know, I'm not really good at math, but 5 beats 3 every day of the week and twice on Sunday. You got to have everybody. Yeah. And you definitely need everybody Sunday, because Philly, they're fighting for something a little bit different than where Washington is, right? They're fighting with Milwaukee and with Boston to try to get into that top seed. And listen, they're playing really good basketball. I'm just going to give you a stat really quick. The best two-man tandem in the league right now in terms of pick and roll and getting shots and getting wherever they want on the floor is Joel Embiid and James Harden. So you have to account for those two. But their others are really good as well.
I appreciate that breakdown. Chris and Drew, thanks, guys. I'll relieve you of your duty for tonight. Appreciate to see you on Sunday. While I've got you here, Megan, joining us on the show, Megan McPhee, courtside at Cap One Arena. The same question to you, Megan, about tonight. Where did you see that it slipped away from Washington? And more importantly, as always, what's the solution to getting it correct for Sunday?
I think it's the others, and you asked me about that in the pregame. How does the big three get the others involved? And Chris, I think, hit it on the head, especially when you go up against teams that have others that are impactful and do it on both ends of the floor, and it's not just one extra guy. For me, it's the others tonight. You know, the big three, they did everything they can, but you've got to get the others involved on a consistent basis, and the others have to get themselves involved as well, too. So that's where I saw it, because I mean, we can talk about turnovers, you can talk about offensive rebounding. The stat sheet tells you that. But what else can go on in a basketball game that can affect how the outcome is? And tonight, in my opinion, it was the others. They were there in moments, but they just weren't there in the stretches when you needed them to be there for 48 minutes.
Coach Patsos, one of the things that I noticed, and correct me, Megan, if I'm wrong, pace of play is a huge factor. The time it takes on offense, in transition, getting into shots. What are you seeing that is preventing the Wizards from keeping that accelerated, aggressive style of offense? Because when they're doing that, things work wonderfully. But when they slow down, all of a sudden, one thing goes wrong here, one thing goes wrong there, and you're in a trick bag.
Can I
Go ahead.
Can I actually touch on this? Because I asked Coach about this before the game, and I asked him in the sense of the shot selection that happened in that second half in the game on Wednesday against Atlanta when they made their run and eventually took the lead. And he said it wasn't necessarily just shot selection. And this was what I was saying on broadcast with regards to the screening action and the screening angles that he was seeing. He thought that when you don't get the right angles on your screen, which is why I asked Drew to kind of break down what he meant by that, when you don't get the right angles, you don't allow yourselves to go downhill the same way, because now, you know, the angle might not be where you need to be, and a DeLon or a Brad or a Monte has to actually go out off the screen wider than they want to. You don't get the angle for the right pass for the roll, and he felt that that was another angle as to why they had poor shot selection. But then he talked about the fact that when guys are fatigued or they're walking the ball up on offense, you're then in a short shot clock, and it's a short possession, and then you go into ISO basketball. And I thought we saw some of that again tonight.
Coach?
Yeah, I'm a big live ball turnover guy. If we can get stops or live ball turnovers, now we can run on them.
Right.
They ran on us because we had a lot of turnovers. We didn't have that many in the last 5 or 6 minutes, which is why the game got tightened up. But when the Hawks took it out, our live ball turnovers, the Hawks were taking it down, scoring wide open three. We have to get stops in live ball turnovers because we're really good when we get out in transition, including Gafford running. We saw Gafford get some, run down the lane, Porzingis early. But you need live ball turnovers or defensive stops where we can go run at them. And sometimes he just didn't get enough of those. But I will say, I want to see the bench. You can't get, Denny, Corey, and then DeLon Wright's a little veteran. But Corey and Denny, you guys are really young. You got to be really excited and fired up to really play well down this stretch on the bench. I thought Denny having 5, that's not enough.
Yeah.
I love Denny. I want more out of him.
Yeah, Denny had 5 in the first half, and that was it. 5 for the night because of his 5 in the first half. Thank you both for that breakdown. Don't move anywhere because we got 90 seconds on the other side of the break. We're going to continue this conversation about tonight's game and, of course, getting ready for those Sixers, because on Sunday, as Chris Miller said, they're motivated for a different reason. Washington right now needs the wins. That's the only priority. Post-game live back in a moment. Welcome back to Wizards Post-Game Live after the Wizards took a loss to the Atlanta Hawks. But we're giving you a throwback tonight, celebrating, of course, 25 years of Wizards basketball, and that includes Rod Strickland. That's a bad man. As a Wizard, 16 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds in the 304 games he played in a uniform for Washington. Shout out to Rod Strickland. By the way, he and Harvey Grant, and of course, don't forget Chris Whitney, who we talked to in pregame live. These guys were actually honored tonight in Cap One Arena, showing off in front of the fans, all smiles, having your jerseys once again. Coach Passos, it's always a thing that brings smiles to your face. We saw it happen with Karan, Antoine, and Gil earlier this year. So shout out to these 3 guys for also being remembered by these wonderful fans who remember what they were able to do for Washington. But now let's get back to tonight's conversation, and I want to get on solutions. My wife tells me all the time I got a thing called West Hall Solutions. I should put it on a t-shirt. I'm going to put that burden on both of you right now about how we fix this. Megan, go first, because I know you itching to say something about that.
No, I got to figure out a solution for the fact that I obviously can't drink water. I might as well point it out myself, right?
There you go.
Well, I mean, like, solutions is just making adjustments. And you look at this game, and this is why I kind of like these mini series throughout the season, because it gives you the chance, like you would see in the playoffs, to make adjustments and then play the same team again within 48 hours. So as much as I like them, it can be frustrating when, as a staff, if you implement the adjustments, but they don't continue throughout the entire game. So for me, when you look ahead to Philly, as you said, like, the solution has to be within yourselves. At the end of the day, the guys in the locker room, and I'm not talking about the coaching staff, just specifically the guys on the roster, they gotta look each other in the face, and they gotta look each other and themselves in the mirror and figure out what they want to do. Do you want to get into the playoffs, or do you want to just be in the play-in situation, or do you even want to be in the postseason? At a certain point, they've got to take it upon themselves to say, what we're doing, we're better than this. And they know that, we know that, but it's got to come from within that roster to be the ones to take it upon themselves and fight and continue to fight. It can't always be, us or the coaching staff, because they're the guys who are on the floor that actually have to execute.
No, you're absolutely right, self-accountability. But Coach Patsos, the other night we were on the show, and you stood here and you gave one heck of a pep talk. And you know what?
I gave a different pep talk tonight.
Well, see, you just walked into my trap. I was going to ask you, Give me the pep talk for tonight moving forward. I need to hear this.
I love the big three, but it can't always be the big three. This is like our 8. I used to like it's our boat of 8 versus their boat of 8. Yes, these are our 3 best Warriors. Maybe they have Trae Young, who's small, but Capella, who's a shot blocker. In other words, everybody has their own weapons in the boat. But our boat, Corey, we really need you. And I know you've been shooting it at a high clip. You might have to hunt some shots. Denny, sometimes Denny. This is the maturation of Denny Avdi, and it's going to pay off. Tommy Shepard and them are right. I told you JT3 and I talked about this. This is going to pay off, but we might need you to pick it up these next 15 games. You know, can't worry about a bad call because our 8 and your 8, and I was going to go back to Megan. Jordan Goodwin, nice pickup, but with DeLon and Monte, they probably don't need him. Kendrick Nunn, is he injured? Is he going to come back and play? Like, he showed a lot of spunk early and a lot of promise, left-handed. Is he around? And what do you think, Megan, about Kendrick Nunn?
Yeah, I think right now it's the rotation. The rotation's been shortened.
They're shortened and they're sticking with it.
I think tonight is one of those nights, or could have been one of those nights where, you know, like we've seen from Greg Popovich, we saw it from Ty Lue last season in that Clippers game, where he went to his bench and said, all right, I need somebody to give me something. And if they give you something, you stick with it. I thought tonight could have been one of those nights where maybe we see a Kendrick Nunn because of the spark he brought when he first came over from the Lakers. From my knowledge, he's the medical side of things. The injury report, as Chris alluded to at the beginning of the game, it was clear. So I have no knowledge of any injuries. I think they're all healthy. I just think the rotation has been shortened. And unfortunately, guys who we saw earlier in the season and as of recently as a month ago, are just not in the rotation right now. But I thought tonight might have been one of those nights where coach maybe looks down the bench and says, you know what, I'm not getting it. I need to see if I can get it from somebody else, and maybe that's where it goes to.
I appreciate that, Megan, and Coach, for that. Again, the 8-man rotation tonight. If I said 9, that would be Jordan Goodwin's 7 minutes that he had tonight. So, yes, definitely a tightened rotation at this point of the season. But right now, guys, I want to go to head coach Wes Unseld Jr. at the post-game podium. Coach Patsos, you said he would say a couple of things. I'm interested to see if that comes true.
You know, we got down 12, I think, with about 7+ to play. We were able to kind of chip away at it. Had got some stops, deflections, had some runouts. So we gave ourselves a chance by climbing back into it. You know, obviously the defense was good in that stretch to turn them over and speed it up a little bit. Couldn't capitalize, you know. 2 open threes, 1 we missed, 1 I think was out of bounds. You know, missed a finish in the paint, missed a free throw or 2. So you gave yourself a chance. I thought with the defense, allowing our defense to translate into easy offense, just couldn't capitalize.
How do you explain the differential in three-point shooting in this game?
Yeah, just, you know, I thought we turned down, you know, a handful. You know, some versus the unders, and obviously they're switching a lot. So to create that, you know, we got to play downhill and drive and kick. Kind of negate some of KP's pick and pops. But, you know, it's tough. I don't know how many. You know, I know they made some tough ones off the bounce. And, you know, that's a little different than how we play.
Coach, I want to walk you through this in a way where, like I say, keep not getting out of hand, want to keep money in your pocket. But I know as a basketball player, when your shot isn't off, you go to the cup to try to get yourself going. How demoralizing is it when you know you're trying to get started, but it's just not being that way out on the court? It's like, you know.
Well, I think you have to, you know, adjust to how the game's being officiated. You know, there's some times where there's contact. You know, some nights that may be considered a foul, some nights it's not. That's just the nature of it. You know, I like the fact that we're playing downhill, playing aggressive, another 60-point night in the paint. Mm-hmm. So that's a positive. You know, that offsets a little bit, you know, of the threes, but you know, we got outscored 45-21 from the 3-point line. That's a huge disparity. Mm-hmm. You know, so I like the fact that we can play downhill and play aggressive. We're not always going to get the whistle. You know, that's just the nature of it. But it can't dissuade us from doing that.
Right.
And we still have to kind of stay the course and understand it's a strength of ours. So keep playing to that strength.
Because out of respect for you, I didn't want to say that.
Head coach Wes Unseld Jr. at the post-game podium as we take a look back at our bold predictions brought to you tonight by Greenberg and Betterman. Remember, GVLawyers.com and feel better. We said the big three were going to score over 85 points tonight versus the Hawks. We were WRONG wrong. They only scored 66 points tonight. Wizards back in action against Philly on Sunday. On the other side, we're going to get you ready for that on Post-Game Live.
Making history is never easy. It's not for the faint of heart. Just ask the folks of Washington, D.C., the district, home to the most influential people in history, past and present. What better place for the NBA 2K League to make roots for the 2023 season? We're going from power brokers to power forwards. Based at the brand new District D, the flagship venue for esports in the Mid-Atlantic, the best 2K players in the world will descend upon one of the world's most important cities, forever etching their names into the marble statues that surround this historic town. Beginning March 2023, the NBA 2K League is coming to Washington, D.C. Let's go.
Let's go indeed. They say ball don't lie, whether it's on the court or on the sticks. And if you think that your favorite Wizards aren't playing the game online when they get a chance, you'd be sorely mistaken. Don't believe me? Ask DeLon Wright.
Do you play with DeLon Wright, the 2K version?
No. So I built a player.
Okay, from scratch?
Yeah.
And what team do you put him on? I already know
No,
the
it's not
answer.
team. So you're playing
you're playing
other build players, and then y'all playing against other teams.
Okay,
with
that's
build
cool.
players.
So how much of the real you is, or how similar are the two characters?
So my guy's a 7-foot shooter with a left hand shooter. So I kind of made him the opposite of me. Yeah.
Wait a second. You played as, what position you got about?
Center. He's like 7'3".
So you created a left hand Porzingis?
Similar, yeah.
Wow.
More stocky.
Little more broad than that. Yeah.
But similar, yeah. He shoot a lot of threes.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Shout out to DeLon Wright for that. So that inspired what we're about to do right here, Wizards fans. I know you're going to enjoy this one. We're going to build our own 2K player from the Wizards roster, and here's how we made this even. We took the average height and the average weight from everybody, and that's what we're building our player off of. And then they can select attributes from different guys on the team to build their player. Whoever builds the best one, based upon the actual stats from 2K, will walk away the victor. I think it's going to be me, but I haven't seen what's going to happen. Coach, you get to go first. Who are you building? Whose skills and attributes are you putting into your 2K player?
Well, Zach, and I, the producer, we kind of looked at it, and the one thing I said was I wanted DeLon Wright's ball handling, Beal's shooting, but I need an athletic guy in Daniel Gafford. The defensive possessions by Denny, but my athleticism and speed was Kuzma. See, I like wings. When I coached, I needed a good winger who could play a little D, add athleticism. Shooting was one thing, but he could get to the basket and score, but I wanted an athletic wing.
All right, Coach Patsos, way to go. Now, Megan McPeak, you're up. Who do you have as your 2K perfect Wizards player?
So handle, I went with Monte. I kept with the PGs.
Okay.
KP shooting, Gaff dunking, DeLon's defense, with Beal's athleticism. And I have a caveat for you guys. When it comes to durability and availability, give me Kyle Kuzma. He's played in 61 of 67 games this season.
Played hard.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Because we know that's a metric on the 2K game.
Yeah, on 2K, but not in this competition. But
exactly.
We're going to add it for
that's
later on.
That's why I said caveat.
Now, let's see what I did. Because, like I told you, I haven't seen this before. I'm going with the ball handling of Monte Morris at 86. Kristaps Porzingis at 7'3". He's a shooter. How can I not love that? The verticality of Daniel Gafford doesn't even need to be spoken for. DeLon's on-right defense and his stealing. We've seen it happen multiple times this year. And Kyle Kuzma's athleticism and speed. I mean, come on. 85.4. Hold on. Wait a second. 85.4. I'm in second place. I didn't win this thing? Wait a second. I'm supposed to win this thing. It was half my idea. Supposed to win. Well, first of all, let me be a man of my word. Congratulations, Megan. You beat me by 0.2 of a point. Coach,
I'll take it. Hey, in the Olympics, that could be a gold or a silver, okay?
Look, this is like the game tonight. We're like inches away from winning, but Megan won.
All right, so then let me go ahead and up the ante since we're talking about a Wizards District Gaming. These guys are champions. Which one do you think you'd be pretty good? Megan, you think you can go with them on the sticks?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, absolutely not.
If we were going to play Crash Bandicoot, I could destroy them. But in 2K, oh, absolutely not.
What about you, Coach?
I could not.
Hey, Zach Leonsis takes this very, very serious.
Yes, he does.
You know, this is a championship banner they hung, and
This
these guys are
two-time championship banner.
I was going to say they're two-time champs. I'll go out on a limb and say I would roll with them for like the first 30 seconds of my PS5 warming up, and then that's a wrap. They are professionals at this. Shout out to those guys being two-time champions. I dare you say, Wizards fans, you know what? We might have to let this go out on a tweet or something and let people vote on who they think would have the better team. You know what? Though we're not done with players on the Wizards team talking about it. How about Mr. Gooden? Yeah, Drew Gooden, looking at his old pictures on 2K. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
It looks terrible, but from far away, it looks like me though. I'm rolling with that. You zoom in a little bit more. I mean, from far away, let me see. No, that's terrible. That's terrible. From far away, you got me. That doesn't look like Drew Gooden. I don't know about the facial features. I mean, I look like a genie or I look like Will Smith in Aladdin. Oh my God. That looks like 3 people combined in one. I don't know what that tattoo says right there. It's supposed to say Lord knows, but it looks like a crooked K and maybe a L. That's the worst one. They almost got it. They're getting the upper body together. I like the tats. That snarl is a little off. That's it. That's it. They nailed it. They nailed that one right there. That's me.
I love Drew Gooden.
That's true, starting in the NBA Finals.
Yes. See, that's
for the record, everybody.
He's a pro. He gets to do that right there. I'm shouting out to Drew Gooden for being a good participant in 2K. And, you know, one of these nights I might have to actually get home early enough to play somebody late night on them sticks. It is what it is. I'm just trying to win, Coach. You're pretty nice on the stick, Coach.
No, that's not my thing. I like to go to games and watch games and still coach and all that stuff. I go to too many games. I'm at too many games live. Since I got to like 7 games a week. See, this is my problem.
You're a sports addict, Coach, and I'm here for you. I'm not mad at you. Megan, pause for a second because I got to show some love to FanDuel real quick, and especially new customers. Because guess what? We're taking a look back at our best bets of the night, right? If you were to come in tonight, of course, we make every moment more, and you say to yourself, Monte Morris making the first basket. I ask this thing every single night, and I'm probably wrong 99% of the time, and tonight's included. A 2-point jumper was plus 5,500. Wow. A $10 bet would have won you $500 and, $550. So shout out to that. DeLon Wright, plus 10 points is at plus 175. A $10 bet would have won you $1,750. So with that in mind, Coach, I want to talk about DeLon and Monte together. 16 points tonight. 13 dimes. They're doing their job. We talked about them in our Build-A-Person 2K. They have 2 similar but yet differing skill sets. At this point of the season, which is more important if you have to pick, and you can't say both, either one of them?
No, I know, but I've been giving Tommy Shepard and Coach Unseld, they're doing a fantastic job with this position. Like, it's been remarkably well run. It's just too bad DeLon got hurt a little, and then Monte got hurt. See, it hurt that Monte had to come off the bench, but he'd been out for a few weeks. They each had like a stretch of 3 weeks they didn't play.
Right.
So that's why Jordan Goodwin got signed. But to me, I'm a DeLon Wright guy because I need a defensive guy because the big 3 can score so much. I don't want to take anything away from Monte. Monte Morris is a scoring guy that can get passes off to people in the right position. But DeLon's size really bothered like Trae Young. Like DeLon's got a lot of length to him and he can score too. So I like DeLon, but it has been a 2-headed monster, a 2-headed experiment that works. And I wanted to comment on what Wes Unseld said, and so I was talking about the speech you give is every statistic tonight was perfectly even. We just missed some wide open 3-pointers that were good shots. Yeah. That's the Monte Morris argument. He's probably a better 3-point shooter. In other words, but they work together perfectly fine, and it's just if Kispert and Gafford and Denny are the 3 like X factors that when they play really well were really tough to beat. And I felt bad for Wes Unseld, I did, because he's going in that locker room saying, we're this close. We're a couple open threes and a free throw, maybe 1 loose rebound away from winning, so don't give up. But fellas, we got to tighten it up. To me, DeLon Wright, just his defensive presence, his length, that's what I like about him.
No, indeed, Coach, and Megan, to his point, you look at the steals from both of them tonight combined for 5. DeLon gave you 3, Tay gave you 2. Like I said, very similar, but there's certain differences. What say you?
You know, it's tough because I, like Coach, like aspects from both of them. And if we could essentially mold them together, then you would get, you know, the ideal situation. But I like the fact that Wes has gone to playing them both down the stretch, at least as of late, in that 4th quarter together, because they give you something different but something similar. For me, I'm actually going to go the opposite way, because when it comes down to it late in a game in the 4th quarter, Monte is your quarterback. And I know when Monte was out, DeLon did a fantastic job stepping into those shoes and stepping into that role in doing it and keeping the ship sort of calm and organized. But Monte, that's just his natural position. So for me, when it's late in a game like it was tonight, that's who you want your point guard. You want the ball in your point guard's hand. And I thought because it's more natural for him and it's his true position, unlike it's not DeLon's true position. That's why I would go more with Monte. But if you could have them both combined into one player, I think it would be ideal because you've got DeLon's size, to Coach Patzos' point. Then you have his defense and his ability to read the angles very, very well. You have Monte's shooting, Monte's IQ, and the way he sees the floor as a true point guard. If you could put them together, that would be the ideal situation. But to have to pick one, I would go Monte because he is the true point guard, and that is his natural role, for me at least, down the stretch.
Indeed, and what I love about both of them, honestly, is the fact that depending on the matchup, you can go to either one. That's the most valuable asset, is the flexibility.
And they both accept it when they're not in the game.
Absolutely, selflessness.
They seem to have a great attitude about this whole year.
Team, that's what it's all about. Well, speaking of team, how about the team of people who are excited to be a part of FanDuel? Because new customers, guess what? You get a 10 times your first bet, up to $200 in bonus bets. Right now, you can download the FanDuel Sportsbook app wherever you download them and start making every moment more. On the other side, getting ready for Philadelphia. Welcome back to Wizards Post-Game Live. Tonight, Monte Morris had 6 points, but it was the 8 dimes and 5 boards, helping his team as much as he could, trying to get a win tonight. Matter of fact, Coach, instead of me talking about it, how about you show the people in the film room what you saw from Tay?
Well, Monte Morris has got a nice pace. He plays with nice pace. That's what I like about him. You can see here, he's taking his time, kind of splits the screen. Capello's back there. You know how tough he is, because he'll block shots on you with the best of them. And then that's that mid-range. See, I think he learned that from Beal. That's that little 6-footer that becomes a 10-footer that he can't block because he fades it. But there's a really, really good patience there. Now, once again, goes backdoor. Porzingis sees him, lets Capella come over, and then all of a sudden, it's another 6 or 8 foot like fadeaway that you can't stop, you know. And Capella's, he's one of the best shot blockers out there. He's a real big guy from Switzerland. That's a force in there. So he plays the pace right. Now that's just waits, quick one-handed pass off the bounce to Porzingis, who finishes. That's when Porzingis got fouled.
Hey, Megan, when it comes to Monte, what's one of the most underrated parts about his game? If you're not familiar with who he is as an athlete, what do you got for us? Because I know you get a chance to see him a lot.
I think it would actually be him on the defensive end. Because of his size, I don't think he gets enough credit for it. But he is a willing defender and is willingly in guys' shorts, whether they're bigger than him or not. So as much as we talk about DeLon and his size on the defensive end and how he can disrupt players, Monte does the same thing at his size because he understands I need to still have an impact. I still need to defend. So I think he doesn't get enough credit for the defensive energy that he can bring on a nightly basis and does bring on a nightly basis.
Indeed. Now, somebody who we talk about on the defensive end, who we know does bring it every time he's on the court, is Daniel Gafford. I love the landlord. Coach, film room on Gaff. We got to have it.
I was just down in Nashville at the SEC, and I was at the Arkansas game, and everyone that saw me about the Wizards said, say hi to Gafford and how much they liked him and appreciated him and how hard he worked down there. Because he was a 2-year guy there, you know, at Arkansas. He just, when he catches here, what I like is he catches first, then finishes. Like, so he was a second-round pick because people weren't sure, you know, where can he score? The modern guy can't shoot threes. No, he's good at catching and finishing within 5 feet of the rim and has made a living out of it. Here, see, he's going to check the defense, sees where they are, and see, just, that's a nice, easy pass to a cutting Porzingis. See, Capella was not sure who to guard there. By the way, KP should get a lot of credit for cutting so hard to the basket. Now, here on the roll, this is a double pass. See, you think he's going to get it, but it's too crowded in there. Now, here's where Denny's good. Denny just gets it, one dribble hard, throws it up to Gafford again, who catches and finishes. Like, that's a lost art. I just wanted to have a few more looks like this. This is the look. If I'm coaching, I want the Wizards to get more of this. This guy's a tremendous athlete, okay? He was a player of the year in Arkansas High School for a reason. 2 years at Arkansas, really, really got better his sophomore year. Goes to the Bulls, and he got lost a little bit. He's really found his way, but I love his passion and energy, but I'd like to see him rim run a little more, and the Wizards look for him because he's an excellent athlete, he's really good at catching, and he finishes at a really high clip.
Absolutely, and to that point, Megan, over the last 3 games, he's averaging 80% from the field. My question to you is this: he's only shot 1 free throw. How do we get this man to the charity stripe more?
Listen, coaches won't do it, players won't do it. I'm going to do it for them because the NBA can't find me. The officials need to respect him because there's contact. Just because he's big, just because he's, 6'11", just because he can play through the contact, there's contact. Make the call. He's earned the respect of the whistle with the way he has played through the contact and didn't get the whistle. At a certain point, he needs to get the whistle and deserves it. The officials do not give bigs the whistle. We see it with KP all the time where he gets hit on the shooting arm. At the end of the day, if contact is made when you are in a shooting motion, whether it's KP in a jump shot or Daniel Gafford going up for a two-hand flush to put someone on a poster, if there's contact, blow the whistle. Point blank, period.
Coach, it goes back to what Megan's saying, take you back to the old Hack-a-Shack days. Like, what advice as a coach do you tell a guy like Gafford, who's like Megan said, is doing all the work inside, just not getting the calls?
Well, they can only give so many calls, and you got a big three. You got a real star in Beal and Kuzma, rising star, and KP's been around, and DeLon Wright and Monte Morris. They know how to work the officials, too. Sometimes you're just the odd man out. But he's a young guy coming up. He'll earn it. My thing is, Gafford never complains about it. Right. And I hear what Megan's saying. I caught Wes Unseld quietly saying maybe the refs did, maybe the whistles didn't go our way tonight. That means he knows they didn't go his way tonight. But at this point in the season, when you lose them by 2, 3, and 4 points, those can be critical, those calls. But to me, you don't have to force feed Gafford to get him to the line, but I want to see him run more, and then when he gets it, he might get hit in transition. But posting up inside, I thought he made a really good play by passing to Porzingis cutting. The more touches he gets, he's just getting better. Remember, he's signed for 2 more years. He's really happy to be here.
Yes.
Wes, you're tight with him.
I'm telling you, he's happy as a lark, and I'm glad for him. I mean, we did a mental health symposium, and he was just happy to be at somewhere that felt like home. But I know he's got a challenge ahead of him on Sunday against Joel Embiid, who had 39 points tonight against Portland. Megan, the simple question is this: how does he do his job in the paint, protect the paint, his area, and stay out of foul trouble against a guy like Embiid, who we know is a physical challenge?
Ooh, that is a loaded question.
Yes, it is.
The biggest thing for me is Joel Embiid's pump fake. It's similar to KP, where he knows how and when to use it to try and bait the official into getting the call. I know Daniel Gafford loves to block shots. I know he loves that emphatic type of block. Don't fall for the pump fake, especially when Embiid is around that foul line extended area. That's typically where he uses it a lot. Foul line extended area, and then a little bit lower in that mid-range game is typically when I've seen Joel Embiid use that pump fake, or he uses it to get you up in the air, and he'll go under as he tries to finger roll it in, because he is very graceful on his feet, as big as he is. Don't fall for I know it's easier said than done. Yeah. Believe me, I get it. But he will use it as often as possible, knowing Gafford is a shot blocker and knowing that Gafford can get in foul trouble. Don't fall for it. But then you've also got to have the second line of defense there to take the charge.
Yeah, no. To your point, absolutely right. The interesting thing about it, guys, is the fact that Philly can kind of play you some rockabye basketball, unless it's Maxey or even like Shake Milton. Those guys are fast, but the rest of that roster, they just blow you to sleep, bucket, blow you to sleep, bucket. You got to stay sharp and be prepared. On the other side, we're almost done with Post-Game Live. Wizards fans, appreciate you hanging out with us. We're going to cross the finish line on this one here in a moment. Get you ready for the Sixers on Sunday. Hey, Wiz kids, welcome back to Wizards Post-Game Live. Next time you're going to see us, it's going to be a cherry blossom day, all right? Sunday, if the weather's nice in the city, down here, people can enjoy the cherry blossoms. But the game's actually in Philadelphia, and we want you here for pregame live starting at 5:30 on NBC Sports Washington. But right now, I've got Bradley Beal in the post-game locker room. Interested to hear what Panda has to say.
Lost, hell. No other way to put it. We competed, yeah, but there's no more victories, at this point of the year. Got to win. Simple and plain, we just lost.
What do you make of just having lost 4 of 5 and, these 2 games to the Hawks, knowing there was a lot on the line?
Yeah, those definitely hurt, Like I said before, no more victories. We got to be a lot better, and we knew and understood the situation and the series coming into the night and the seeding and, what they could do for us. But, we laying eggs, so we got to fight through it, and these next 15 got to really make the push.
How do you explain?
That's Bradley Beal at the post-game podium, guys. Let's go ahead and get ready for Philly. Real quick, Coach, follow me on this real quick. Instead of trying to stop Joel Embiid, I know we've all talked about that being a challenge. How about kind of say, all right, Ole, do your thing. We're going to stop everybody else.
Well, I was talking about what Megan was saying and Chris was saying about the others. Well, I want to beat Georges Niang, who can shoot threes, but he doesn't even get off the ground. DeAnthony Melton. I want our bench to win. How about our bench beats their bench? Tucker and Harris are one thing. Maxi's good. We know who Harden is. But it's really, Embiid's going to get his because he's so good. But our big three and our starters, but I want to win the bench. I want to win the bench game in Philly and then win the
What
game.
say you, Megan?
For me, I agree. I think the bench, it's got to be which bench is better. And then have less turnovers than them as a team. Try to limit them. Even if it's just you limit it by 2, have less. Because that gives you more possessions.
Look at us. Expert analysis. That's what I appreciate. I'm looking forward to Sunday to seeing it take fruition, come to fruition, be materialized in reality. On behalf of our great crew and staff here at NBC Sports Washington, for Megan McPeak and the coach, Jimmy Patsos, I'm Wes Hall. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night as best you can. We'll see you Sunday afternoon for Wizards Sixers, only on NBC Sports Washington.